We were all pretty disappointed with the announcement of Diablo Immortal. We expected to hear about a game like Diablo 4, a game that we have waited years to know information about. I personally was a big fan of Diablo 3, along, of course, with the other Diablo games, but a mobile Diablo game that was canon, where the story was important, wasn't really the addition to the franchise that we expected to hear at BlizzCon 2018. And when we heard that Blizzard was going to be teaming with NetEase for this game, I made the prediction that it was going to be censored to hell and back. Now, if you don't know who NetEase is, they're a company that develops and publishes PC and mobile games, but they're a Chinese-owned company, and with Chinese-owned companies comes a ton of freaking censorship. I mean, just look at Tencent. In order to release a game in China, you need to work with a Chinese company like NetEase or like Tencent, and you've got to censor the hell out of your games, and it sounds like Diablo Immortal's going to be an extremely censored, dumbed-down Diablo game because it was successfully approved by Chinese officials the first try for release. So this is a post that was originally made in Chinese that Google Translate has attempted to translate, so hopefully the translation is accurate enough. It says New Year's Day, Heroes League Hand Tour, Dark Sabotage God Immortal, Star Wars Eve, No Ember Star River, and other editions of the review. So a new batch of imported online game approval information was made public today, with a total of 33 games obtained version numbers. In addition to games such as Layman Legend and Super Mario Party on the PS4 and Nintendo Switch platforms, there are 25 heavyweight mobile games that have been reviewed. So the first one does say League of Heroes Hand Tour, classic MOBA End Tour login mobile game, mobile phone side, outer clothing has been online for 4 months, the official is still in sync with the end of the hero, skin, big fight play, operation, and the UI for other suitable mobile end experiences. And then it says right here, it says Dark Sabotage of God Immortality, which of course we know is Diablo Immortal. It says Blizzard Entertainment and NetEase have teamed up to launch an ARPG Hand Tours. In the previous sealed test play, we have written a detailed post about the game that is now in quite a high degree of completion. MMO-like large map designs and dungeons, terrain height and detail, rich scene detail, silky combat smoothness is amazing, and looking forward to so that the game can be developed as soon as possible online. And this is, of course, Diablo Immortal footage that we've seen, or a screenshot that we've seen of Diablo Immortal, and of course it does roughly translate to Diablo Immortal. Now, I think that we can admit that there is absolutely no way a normal Diablo game would be accepted into the Chinese region unless it was censored. Diablo features adult language, violence, blood, skeletons, gore, and we know that even Diablo 3 was censored in China, so it could release, and of course it was done by NetEase, the same company that Blizzard has actually been working with for a couple of years. I wanted to read through this initial post from 2014. Here's how Diablo 3 will be censored in China. Blizzard's games are almost all popular in China, and the Diablo series is no exception. But even though overseas gamers have been enjoying the game's first expansion, Diablo 3 still hasn't officially launched in China, thanks to the country's slow approval process. Of course, plenty of Chinese gamers have been playing the game anyway on overseas servers, which is quite easy to do, but NetEase has finally announced the game's official China servers. That means the censorship process is over, and Chinese gamers will be taking on the latest version of Diablo themselves. And here are just a couple of comparisons as to how Diablo was censored in China. So as you can see, on the left are the original game models, and on the right they are the censored Chinese models, and China has actually banned even more since 2014 when this game came out. You can no longer have skeletons in games, blood in games, corpses in games, so even these first two examples wouldn't be allowed anymore in a game in the Chinese region. You've got a bear, of course, it's like red, it's supposed to be like without the fur, and it's like ripped up skin. It looks okay, both models look okay, I guess. And then the other versions, we've got some more skeletons, you know, they're showing bones, there's more blood, it's a little bit more gruesome. We've just got a bunch of different examples here of creatures. Like the one on the left has fur and blood, but on the right, it looks kind of more like a low-resolution dragon. But it says you probably noticed a lot of blood and bones have gone missing, but contrary to popular belief, blood and skeletons are not illegal in China or in the Chinese video game industry. But that actually isn't true anymore. This post was from 2014, but as of 2019, it says China's new video game rules officially ban blood, corpses, mahjong, and poker. I did talk about this situation when it first happened, but it says in late December, the Chinese government ended a 9-month freeze on approving new video games after a major government reorganization shifted the approval process to the propaganda-focused State Administration of Press and Publication. We now have official details on the new restrictions and requirements for games entering the lucrative market, and it doesn't look good for games like Mortal Kombat 11. So many developers and companies want into the Chinese gaming industry. They see it as an untapped market. They will do anything to get Chinese gamers money. They will go to the ends of the earth to censor their games, remove things. We've even seen games basically changed from the inside out, and they look completely different than the original concept arts that were first released by companies because they're so desperate to get into the Chinese gaming market. It says because China has a population of over 1.4 billion people, making a game available in the country can be an obvious boost to help a developer's bottom line. But 3 game genres will no longer be allowed, including gambling titles such as mahjong and poker, games that deal with the country's imperial history, and games featuring corpses and blood of any color. It used to be where corpses and blood, if it was shown, they had to be like green or pink or orange. They couldn't be something like red. It had to clearly not look like blood. But they don't even allow that anymore. It was actually that way for quite a few years, for like 10 years or so. But finally in 2019, they said enough is enough. No more corpses, no more blood, even if it is a random color like a green or a yellow. It says the new regulations also require developers and publishers to divulge more information about a given title, including detailed scripts, screenshots, as well as what features are being included to help curb gameplay addiction and overspending by the country's younger population. Now, the version of Diablo Immortal that we might get in the West might not be censored to hell and back, but let's take into consideration that Blizzard's been bending over backwards for Chinese investors, like in the case of Blitzchung. All of the content censored in Hearthstone for China is also censored in the West now because they don't want to have to make 2 versions of content. They've even banned things in the Western versions of games like World of Warcraft so that developers would have to do less work. There is a chance our copy of Diablo Immortal might not be censored, but in my opinion, I think that it is extremely unlikely, and I think that there's plenty of evidence here to back up those claims that our version will unfortunately be censored, that it will not be a good Diablo game. And I also wanted to bring up the official Wikipedia page for list of banned video games because a lot of people don't realize how freaking strict China is when it comes to banning games. But it says a very large number of video games are banned in the People's Republic of China. Games that depict drugs, sexual themes, blood, organized crime, or defamation of the Chinese government are almost always banned. And because of the large size of the Chinese video game market, many studios edit the content in their games to conform to the government standards. Companies, again, like I said, will bend over backwards to get their games into this market. As of April 2019, after implementing a new mandatory local rating and approval system, any and all games containing depictions of violence, blood, gambling, and imperial history are de facto banned from all accessible platforms in the nation unless otherwise changed to comply with local standards. And here are just a couple of the very notable games. The list is massive. Battlefield 4, banned for discrediting China's national image as well as threatening national security. Command and Conquer Generals, banned for smearing the image of China and the Chinese army, although the game presents China as a protagonist and glorifies the People's Liberation Army. We also have Plague Inc., which was banned in China as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. They banned so many games. They are so extremely strict on what gets into the country, what doesn't get into the country, and that's why I do really think that they have really censored this game because it got accepted first try in the Chinese region. Am I that surprised to have to be talking about Blizzard censoring Diablo Immortal to get into the Chinese region? Of course not. This is why they're working with NetEase. They have worked with NetEase for years to make sure that their games can get into the Chinese market. When Wyatt Chang came out on stage at BlizzCon 2018 and insulted fans by saying, "Don't you all have cell phones?" when Red Shirt Guy asked if it was an out-of-season April Fool's joke, you could tell that they were so out of touch with the people buying their games and caring about their products that I don't really think that Immortal's going to be successful or even close to as successful as they wanted it to be. It's Blizzard and Diablo, so yeah, of course they'll definitely make money from it, but I don't think that it's going to continuously bring new players in. I don't think that it's going to survive for long. I just think that with people's initial reactions to Diablo Immortal not being good, it's been 3 years since it was announced, and we've heard that it will have microtransactions. That's just a recipe for disaster. But let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Are you excited for Immortal, or do you care less about it? If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to give it a like, share it, and subscribe to the channel. And of course, if you didn't, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way. But I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.